This is 1, 2B. I'm not up there, am I? Okay, 1, 2B. We are doing a bunch of properties today of real numbers. Okay, properties of real numbers. So we're gonna start, before we get into all of those properties, we are gonna do, I numbered that weird. So this is like example 2, I believe, in the book. I wrote it different. I wanna know the graph. So on a number line, you're gonna graph these numbers: -5/3, negative rad 8, and negative 2.3 repeating. Okay, so on a number line, where would those fall? My advice to you is put them all in the same format. So decimals would be simplest. Some of you might see it perfectly fine without having to put everything into decimals, and that's fine too if you can see that. But those of you that need to see it all in decimal form, just put them all in decimal points, okay? So -5/3, if you do 5 divided by 3, that's a -1.6 repeating. The square root of 8, hopefully you all have calculators that you can do this stuff with at home at least, huh? That one is 2.828, we'll call it. And then this, sorry, negative 2.828. And then this last one, -2.3 repeating. Okay, so first of all, notice they're all negatives. So 0, if we put 0 here, and then give it plenty of space with your numbers so you have room to put things. So a -1, a -2, a -3, okay? Of those 3, which one is the biggest number?
0.
No, of these 3, or these 3. The -1.6 is the biggest. Remember, when you're dealing with negatives, when the number looks smaller, it's actually bigger, right? Because we're talking negatives now. So -5/3 or -1.6 is your biggest one. Think about where that would fall. -1.5 would be here, right in the middle, right? So -1.6 repeating would be somewhere around here. So that's a -5/3, okay? What's the next biggest? -2.3 repeating, okay? 0.3 repeating is a third. So you're going a third of the way between the -2 and the -3. So somewhere around here, you would put a point there. That would be -2.3 repeating. Which means your last one, negative rad 8, is your smallest number, and that's a -2.828. So again, that's gonna be a lot closer to the -3, right? Somewhere over here. Put a little point there, call that a negative rad 8. Because the question used these numbers, those are the numbers you need to plot. So even though you turned them into decimals, plot the number they gave you. Okay? Questions on that? How you plot these? Just make sure when you're in that negative realm that you're working backwards, right? Be careful with that. Okay, so then how about this one? I'm going to give you 2 numbers, the square root of 17 and 3.8. You're going to compare using greater than or less than. Okay, so basically what we're saying is the square root of 17 is greater than or is less than 3.8. What's one way you can figure out which one of those is bigger? Find the square root of 17. Plug it into your calculator, right? If you calculate that, the square root of 17 is 4.123, right? Does anyone see a different way that you wouldn't even need a calculator for?
Well, this one you can still use a calculator, you can square 3.8.
You could square 3.8 and see where it is in relationship to 17, okay? Or the opposite side of that, this is close to what perfect square? 16. What's the square root of 16? 4. That's already bigger than this. So if the square root of 17 then is absolutely going to be bigger than 4, right? So either way, either plugging it into your calculator or just thinking logically about where are we at with our square root here, the square root of 17 is going to be greater than 3.8, okay? Okay, properties. We are going to talk through 6 different properties. So I'm just going to set it up as a chart. Yeah, I'm just going to set it up as a chart for you. If you want to write these down, great. If you don't feel the need to write them down because you're just going to refer back to them in your book, that's fine. But you will need to know these for your quiz and test. You'll have to name properties for me. So just make sure that you can name these. All right, so first column is going to be the property. That's going to be the property of addition. And again, you learned these in Algebra 1, so these should not be brand new to you, but they're probably a little fuzzy. So property of addition and property of multiplication. So there is, closure might be new, but closure is also the one that probably gets used the least. There is commutative. There is associative. There is identity, and there is inverse. And then there's also distributive, but that doesn't have both, so we're going to just put that down here. Okay, let's just start, well, I'll tell you about closure, because maybe you haven't seen it before. The closure property just says A plus B is a real number. So basically, a real number plus a real number is getting you a real number, okay? Multiplication, A times B is a real number, okay? So if the operation, if the addition or the multiplication can always be done and get you a real number back, that's the closure property. We don't do a lot with that. What you'll see more of is like the commutative property, the associative, the identity, and the inverse. Anyone remember the commutative property of addition? Yes, right. So commutative says if A plus B works, that's equal to B plus A, right? So you're switching places. I always say think of it like a commute. If A is home and B is school, I went from home to school. It's the same distance as if I went from school to home, right? So you're commuting, commutative property. Same thing goes with multiplication. A times B is the same as B times A. Okay, that's commutative. What's associative?
Like multiplication. It's just in parentheses, whatever stays in parentheses.
Right, your parentheses can move, and it's still the same thing, right? So it's like A plus B plus C is the same as A plus, B plus C. Sorry, I ran into the next one. So you're just moving your parentheses. I always tell people associative property, it looks like a but, and another name for a but is the word that's probably not a nice word, but that's how I tell people parentheses, right? Looks like a but. It's the associative property. You follow where I'm going with that? Okay. Anyway, same thing with multiplication. If you do A times B times C, it's the same as A times B times C. Should have made a bigger chart, huh? Yeah, lessons learned. Okay, identity property. This one, I always say, think of your identity, who you are. You want to be the same person regardless of what's going on. You are you, right? So add nothing to you. Change in no way, okay? So your identity property for addition says if you add nothing to me, you get me back, right? A plus 0 is still going to be A. Or 0 plus A is still A. So that's the identity property of addition. And then the multiplication property, the identity property of multiplication says, how do you get a number to stay that number? You multiply by 1, right? So this would be A times 1 is still A, okay? So your identity didn't change. And then inverse. The inverse property says if you take a number and you add its inverse, its additive inverse or multiplicative inverse, in other words, you add the opposite to it, what do you get when you add the opposite? 0. Okay? Multiplication, the inverse, if your number is A and you multiply by the reciprocal of that, so 1 over A, what will you get back? You'll get 1, right? So when you multiply A times its reciprocal, you get a 1 back every time, okay? The only time that doesn't work is A can't equal 0, because then you'd be dividing by 0, okay? Distributive property, this is the one we talk about all the time in Algebra 1. Distributive says if it's A times B plus C, that becomes A times B plus A times C. Okay? Any questions on those? Okay, all you're doing with that then is naming properties. So I'm going to give you some stuff, some numbers. What? Yep. I'm going to give you, not numbers, I'm going to give you some equations. You tell me which property, okay? So if I give you negative 2/3 times a negative 3/2 equals 1, which property is that? That is inverse of multiplication. So make sure you tell me addition or multiplication. This would be inverse of multiplication. And you can do a times or a plus just to shorten it up a little bit. That's fine. Just make sure I can tell if it's an X or a T, right? What about this one? So you have 3 times 4 times 5 equals 3 times 4 times 5. What's that one? Of multiplication. That is associative of multiplication. Okay. So far, so good. Are these all coming back to you? How about 3 times G plus H plus 2G equals 3G plus 3H plus 2G? That's distributive, right? We took this and we multiplied the 3 by both things. So that's distributive. Last one. All right, if we have P plus Q times R equals Q plus P times R. No. I heard someone, but I didn't hear what it was. Commutative of addition, right? All we changed was those two. We still multiplied by r on both of them, but we flipped the order that we added in. So that's commutative of addition. Okay? Questions on that?